Was I wrong for telling customers who ask that I'm not okay and why? Content note discussion of death. So I work in retail, and customers will often ask how I am. Usually I tell them fine or good or whatever. Even if I'm feeling sad like after my breakup in November. Well, Saturday, yesterday, and today I did not work Sunday or Monday. I was telling customers who asked I'm not okay. And I was telling them why. The reason is that my grandmother may die in the next couple days. My one boss didn't like that. Now, this is a boss who I really like. He's normally very kind to people in the sense that he sticks up for people who need it. Tonight he scolded me for telling people how I was truly feeling. He said it was completely inappropriate. And I quite frankly don't agree. I can think of a lot of things that have been considered inappropriate once upon a time, like women being heard and not just seen, that people recognize was wrong to be inappropriate back then. I kept my mouth shut as he was scolding me because, quite frankly, I felt shocked and invalidated. Even though he said he understood that I was going through something, I was angry that he would be so dismissive. I was telling people because it was helping me function. It was helping me work. It was helping me not cry and not shut down. Now that he's scolded me, I've done both. I think he's fortunate that I showed up at all. Which I have, because she's not dead yet. Because I need my bills paid. And because, as a part-time employee, I get only 16 hours for 4-hour shifts of bereavement leave. I did not ask my boss why he deemed my sharing as inappropriate. I don't know if he thinks it makes customers uncomfortable. Quite frankly, I don't care if it does. He said it's personal information that customers don't need to know. Guess what? I think it's my personal information to share, given what it is. If I was going through a breakup like I did in November, I wouldn't share. This is a death. And I don't know what else to do to help me not completely break down at work. I think that would be worse. Sorry about your grandma, but I agree with your boss. Most people ask you how you're doing to be polite. They're not expecting to know what's happening in your persona life. They don't know you and probably don't care. It's just awkward. Nah. The social construct of people asking that but not wanting the answer is dumb. If you don't want that answered, it is more appropriate to say I hope you're well today or something. That said, it is also appropriate. Emo. Or more appropriate if you know the people outside of the place. Or if they're regulars you see all the time. Those people are generally more invested and you would take more care in asking. Oof. That's rough. I am sorry, truly. But sharing those deep things to strangers is inappropriate. Just like if your child asks you how you're doing. You may say not well. But you do not share the intimate details. I sincerely suggested you speak to your boss and go see a therapist to discuss you going through your grief. In my culture that is perfectly fine. I have had people share a little bit of their troubles with me while getting some service, and if it's not a long conversation, I'm totally not bothered by it. I don't ever want to feel like taking a minute of my day to connect a little and offer a bit of comfort for a fellow worker is too much. Honestly, if you notice someone is in a hurry, maybe keep it moving. But it's mostly okay, emo. I'm very sorry for your situation and the lack of community support from everyone. Haha. This is me. And this is why I hate the "how are you" transaction. It's always bothered me. If you don't care, don't ask. I don't. But after many years I've had to just train myself to ask the question back. I don't know why it bothers me so much. Just say hello. AITA good morning afternoon works just as well. You can still do the polite conversation dance but without the intrusive questions. I'm so sorry to hear about your GMA. I feel for you, op. I hope everyone in your family will be healthy and okay. I think there's something wrong with our society. It's full of formalities and fake kindness. As others said, it's the norm not to share how you're really feeling, especially at work. Maybe the world would be better if we could be more open about what we're going through and if other people cared. I wish your boss would allow you to take paid time off. That should be your right. Family is more important at the end of the day. I'm sorry you have to go through this. Okay, I'm sorry you're dealing with all this, losing your family and dealing with a jerky boss on top of it. Grieving is one of the most natural and human feelings. We should be allowed to be human at work. To ask for support. It's not inappropriate to exist honestly. What do y'all think AntiWork is for? Are we or are we not dreaming of the kind of world we'd actually want to work in? A place that allows me to be myself and support me when I need it is part of that. Maybe because I was raised in the American South. But, in general, me asking someone how they are is an invitation to conversation. I would ask if I didn't want or was expecting the possibility that someone might say something more than fine. If you have regular customers, they definitely probably are more open to chatting. I think your boss is an unsympathetic asshole who, even if he thinks this, should probably just be a decent person and cut you some slack. If you were going on with customers about your stool softness or gas pain all the time, then maybe he's right to ask you to rein it in. I'm sorry about your grandma. Mine passed back in July and it's still strange going to an empty house. I took care of and sat with her at least 4 days a week. Then my dad would stay with her on Friday and the weekends. Add in family members you haven't seen in a decade telling you you're not good enough to be part of the family? It's rough. I'm sorry that you're dealing with this op. It sucks. I really hate this country's obsession with small talk and supposed pleasantries. No one gives two shits about how someone actually is when they say how are you. But we've all been conditioned to say it and expect it and to not actually be honest. It's ridiculously stupid and I hate it so much. How dare you be a human being with feelings and emotions and actually be honest about it, I guess. In this thread, the exact reason Americans are so lonely compared to other nations. Insane that even in this sub the "you must be a good little drone" is so deeply embedded that OP is getting criticized for the very human behavior of sharing your pain, including with strangers. And before someone chimes in with "but it makes strangers uncomfortable," yeah. That's half my point. The fact that you can't just hear sad news that doesn't affect you. Give a stranger a couple of words of comfort and move on. Without becoming hugely uncomfortable? That's a weird cultural norm people aren't even recognizing as one. Edit typos. It's literally "Are you okay day" in Australia. I can't imagine shitting on someone for answering honestly, instead of offering support. When did this sub become our tips on how to be a more beaten down service worker? Honestly, people need to stop asking how are you if they don't want to know. Do something else. It's not polite if you actually just want to hear "I'm great." It's entitled. You definitely need some time off. I understand where you're coming from, but you and the customer are complete strangers, and in that context they're truly just trying to be pleasant to you. And the ones that engage are just trying to be nice, but trust me, they don't want to chat, they have their own life too. That being said, your boss is another story, and I'm sorry he's not empathetic about your situation with your grandma. I'm also sorry you're going through this. I wouldn't feel bad if people don't actually give shit about how you today. Then don't fucking ask if you might not like the answer.